Welcome back to episode 8 of season 3 Beardos Media. You're listening to and watching Majid Waris and Controversial Ali.
I thought you forgot about me for a second.
I'm trying to forget about it, but you're not letting us, are you? Really? Come on. Considering the last week or so, there's no way of forgetting that. So, Mr. Controversial Ali, self-employment versus employment. Where do you stand on that? Well, we all know where you. Well, those of us who know you know where you stand on that. But tell us a bit more about your journey into why you decided this was the best way for you. Self-employment versus employment. Because here's why I'm asking the question. Now, some people think that self-employment is better. Some people think that self-employment is not good for you, and we need to think about being employed instead. Different people have different opinions and views. What are your views, and why are those your views?
Okay, I mean, pretty basic, but I've always been in favor of business or trading of any sort, And I know there's different titles. I know there's self-employment. I know there's entrepreneurialism or sort of, whatever. But I've never really agreed with, I understand it's part of the journey, but I've never really agreed with settling for a wage, working for a wage.
Why?
I think it's just because when people settle, it almost seems as if they're doing just that, they're settling. But to me personally, it's almost putting your fate in someone else's hands. You're not quite in control. You could be great at your job, but does that guarantee you're not going to be made redundant? Does that guarantee that someone higher up in the order, or someone that you work for, or the company, or any other number of factors could mean the foreclosure of that company?
Okay, interesting.
So yeah, I've always thought that, it's better to take charge. Win or lose, good, bad, or ugly. I prefer to be sort of a little bit more in control of your own fate. It's like wanting to be the driver of the vehicle. I'm not a great passenger, and that's why I'm very rarely, in the passenger seat or the back seat. For me, that's what it is, and that's what it's always been.
Okay, you're making it sound like that is de facto better than being employed across the board for everyone.
See, to some people, depending on what stage they are in their life, and generally speaking, I've not, anybody sort of my age or younger than me, I feel like I can relate to them or sort of advise them. I mean, anybody older than me, say somebody's semi-retired. No, I'm not saying they're the only ones that should be in employment, but if you're semi-retired, then it makes perfect sense for you not want to have the headache of running your own company or your business. So you just kind of want to turn up to work, clock in, clock out, go home, enjoy your weekends, enjoy your evenings, all the rest of it. And that also goes for people setting off, leaving school, leaving college, or still in school and college, but working part-time. You've obviously got to get yourself on that ladder, isn't it? So you've got to experience work life, experience working for someone, what's sort of expected of you, get familiar with, the routines and the commitments and everything else, and the work ethic. And then the plan, as far as I see, should always be to sort of step out into the world on your own when you can.
Surely that's subjective though, right?
Of course. Everything is. I think most things are. But for me, if someone was to ask me, what should I do? I can get a nicely paid job, and I could live comfortably or whatever in accordance to that salary. If that salary is to stay, that job is to stay, and that business is, that company is to stick around. Or should I take a bit of a gamble and, maybe try and set up something of my own? It could mean I have less holidays or drive a less nicer car for the first 2-3 years or whatever. Or it could mean that it completely changes my life.
Okay. And that's if you decided to go into self-employment, yeah?
So if someone was to ask me, should I work a job or should I set up on my own? I think 9 times out of 10, depending on the person's situation and how much of a discussion we've had, and maybe what I know about them, what they've shared, 9 times out of 10, I would say set up on your own.
Isn't that easier said than done, though?
Definitely. I'm not, just because I encourage it doesn't mean it's easy. I'm not one to.
How do you decide whether self-employment is the right route for you or whether it's going to be employment? How do you decide? What do you take into consideration before making that decision?
Number one is I would say your circumstances and what they allow for.
Okay.
But beyond that, I think even regardless of that, if you want to set up on your own, but you're not in a position to, you should be working towards it at least. But how do you decide if business is right for you? You'll know yourself what you're about. You'll know how ambitious you are. You'll know whether you appreciate a challenge or not.
Yeah, I get that. You know what? The thing is, though, you get some people in life who have an ambition to become self-employed. They want to have their own business. Yeah. They have this idea that they're going to turn some kind of a hobby of theirs into a business. Yeah. They'll get encouragement from their family members. Some get encouragement, some get discouraged. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you'll have parents sometimes who, if they're risk averse, they will probably advise against going to self-employment. Yeah. Whether it's parents or whether it's partners, family, whoever it is. But some of them, they think so highly of their own children or partners sometimes that they think, yeah, it'll work, it'll be great. But really, in all honesty, their ideas are naff. And then, putting it bluntly,
how do we say that work. Though?
Well, this is what I'm getting to. This is what I'm getting to. You see, you get some people who have, let's just say, I mean, in the last few weeks, I've seen somebody post up some of their art. Yeah. So some of the art, some paintings that they've done.
Was it abstract?
And I think it was crap, whatever it was. Yeah. A 5-year-old could do better, right? And I have a few people who share art on my, in my news feed that I see. Some are really good, some are fantastic, some are phenomenal, but there are a couple who aren't really there to commercialize it, right? Either that or I don't understand,
you can't appreciate art. Yeah.
But I saw the comments and so many people really giving them a lot of, blow, giving them a lot of compliments saying, wow, that's amazing. That looks really good. We have an artist amongst us and all that kind of stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, do you really want to be saying that to this person? Aaron says, I don't think a lot of people are willing to ride out the short-term discomfort for the long-term gain. You're right. I think a lot of people are looking for the quick fix, which is why a lot of people, have you noticed a lot of people who go into, for example, LMs, yeah? Nothing against LMs as a concept, so I'm not grilling everybody, but the way it's sold to a lot of people, it's like, you are now an entrepreneur. Yeah. And, suddenly you start seeing them posting loads of motivational quotes and all that kind of thing. And, really, they think that it's going to be a get rich quick scheme of some kind. And they're going to get, they're going to become wealthy overnight because that's the way it's been missold, not sold, but missold to them. Right. So Darren's point stands. A lot of people, they don't want to ride through, the rain and the storm when it's coming horizontally rather than vertically at you, and you've got to power through it. Do you know what I mean? They don't want to go to hard work and they just want to become rich really, really, really quick. And they just believe in that kind of stuff. So the point I'm making is sometimes you have ideas which aren't very good and anybody can see that they're not good. Yeah. Like, for example, let's just say this particular individual who I'm referring to, who shared some of their paintings and they weren't very good. And imagine that person being encouraged that, you could become an artist. We have an artist amongst us. And that's what was being told to this person. I don't want to give away the gender either because it might become obvious. But do you see where I'm coming from? No, I didn't say anything. I just kind of scrolled past afterwards. I thought, what can you say? I don't want to dishearten somebody, or even I don't even know if this person is thinking of making this into a business. But what I'm saying is, some people have business ideas, and they're crap ideas, but they're being given the false motivation and kind of compliments to make them feel good about what they have, and maybe they might one day rely on that to kind of to take that step of becoming self-employed, and it doesn't work for them. You know what I mean? On the other hand, you might have some people who have the drive, the motivation, some great ideas, thinking out the box, yet you might have people around them who are very risk averse. They do not want to take any risks. I mean, I have some of those kinds of people within my family as well. So no matter what idea you put across, they will first point out the negatives, right? And then they will finish the sentence with, I'm only telling you just because, you're my, I love you. And, I just want to make sure you're aware of all the risks involved in what you're about to embark upon. Listen, I kind of drill it down and kind of giving it all the negative stuff. And
so let's say then somebody, I don't know, I don't want to pick on the artist, whoever they are. I'm sure the art was great, but let's say they've got two types of people around them. Yeah. One who will, I don't know, almost treat them as if they're encouraging a child. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's great. That's amazing. This. Not telling them the truth. Yeah. And then on the other side of the fence, there's, yourself or someone else who will be able to see it, but not say it. So the people that are lying to them, maybe misleading them, whatever, are sort of, overcompensating. So this person is just not being told the truth from either side. In sense, they're being lied to from both sides. What do they do? Like, what's the right thing to do?
Well, it depends. If this individual, let's just say because this individual posted these paintings, and they had people like me who probably just looked at them and just scrolled past, and they had some people who were paying them a lot of compliments. Now, if the body of the text or the post was about, I'm thinking of taking up art as a profession or selling my artwork, then yes, they would probably be lied to if you scroll past and didn't actually have like allude to at least something to say, okay, well, maybe you need to have a discussion with such and such a person, show your artwork to X, Y, and Z people within this circle of ours, because they're in that profession, and get their ideas and let them do some of that dirty work. But you know what I mean? You at least direct them with that, even if you don't want to say anything yourself. But generally ideas are all sorts of ideas. Not all ideas require a lot of financial investment. On that note, financial investment, today's sponsor is Shakur Investments. So moving on, we have a lot of people with different ideas. Now, some of those ideas may consist of investment, capital investment. Some may require just your time, your expertise. You could be writing books, you could be writing, all sorts of guides of some kind that you want to sell. Now, there's going to be a difference with the way you sell your services or products. So you've got retail business and you've got service-based businesses as well, So professional services or retail products. So you've got tangible stuff and you've got intangible stuff. There's going to be a difference in how you sell that. So, yeah, I think when you've got something that's tangible, you need to do your market research even more, I think.
Yeah. See, the thing is, though, is I think in today's day and age, almost no idea is a bad idea. It's such a strange time that we're in.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I get you.
You can pretty much sell anything, like pretty much. If it's marketed right, and you just sort of present it at the right places. I'll give you an example, yeah? I'm good friends with one of the founders of Chaiwala. I probably shouldn't drop names or anything into it, but it is what it is, yeah? Now, when I heard that they were first setting up, because he was in a completely different trade, I think the family was into sort of like furniture and beds and stuff. But when I heard that they were setting up this sort of roadside chai service, like desi chai, kadak chai, dudbatti, I was like, that's a sick idea. I thought they were going to have like little tea boys running out to the road and handing over the little teas. And I thought, that's really cool. And in a place like Leicester, obviously they'd lap it up. because there's a lot of sort of Indian, Pakistani, Gujarati community.
Yeah, who like that
Now,
type of, yeah.
When I saw the sort of first or second branch and I saw what they were doing, I thought,
it's not what I thought it was going to be.
This is not it. Like, you know, obviously I went a couple of times. You're going to support a brother, innit? And I've never actually told him this. I hope he's not watching. And I thought, nah, man, like, you know, the tea's not up to it, the parathas or whatever they have got going on, yeah? So to me, that didn't make sense. And I thought, this ain't going to work.
Now look at it. Yeah.
Now look at them. We fast forward 6 or 7 years, and I'll tell you why I'm bringing it up is because another friend of mine, a family friend from down south, contacted me to say, look, can you contact these brothers? Because obviously you know them. I want to purchase a franchise. And I don't mind if it's 20, 30, 40 miles away from where I live, but I do, you know, I want a chaiwala. So anyway, I speak to the brother. They've got like a franchise consultant, whatever. And it turns out, bro, there's practically nothing left available in the whole of the UK.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
They've either already opened up there,
or it's reserved. Yeah.
Reserved, signed up, sold, pre-sold, whatever.
And each franchise is what, like 90 grand or something?
They're doing well, bro. They're doing well. Yeah. So point being is, you know, I would have written that business off, the idea off. And that's just one example. I've seen so many businesses where I think, surely there's not money. There's a guy a couple of units away from me, and he's become a friend as well. And he sells seeds, like bird feed.
Sorry, yes, we got disconnected.
Bird feed, right? So he's selling bird feed, and I thought, how many people have got birds as pets? Like, realistically, how much? The guy does better than I do. All credit to him. He's expanding. He's doing really well. He's working really hard. And, you know, even if you watch something like Dragon's Den, now these guys know their business. But how many times do we hear of, you know, success stories where the dragons wrote them off because they just couldn't understand the concept. They couldn't see the numbers. They couldn't sort of vision it. So is any idea really a bad idea in this day and age? I'm not so sure.
Horses for courses, as they say, you're always going to find somebody who's going to be willing to buy what you're selling. Question is, what's going to be the volume? What's going to be the profit margin? And, you know, is it going to be a product-based business? Is it going to be a service-based business? In either case, there are some things which are common amongst everything, aren't there? Right. So whether you've got a product-based business or a service-based business, some things are going to be very common. For example, in all businesses, you're going to need to know your finances. In all businesses, you're going to need to know how to sell your products. I mean, I think selling is the lifeline of every business. So it's the blood of every business. Without sales, you have no business. You know, you're going to need to know what kind of market, what's your target market. You know, you're going to need to know a lot of different kinds of things. For some people, it's going to be about doing things for themselves initially and then outsourcing that to a professional who can do it for them. And for some people, it's going to be about bringing in other professionals to help them within their business. My own example in the risk management business, at the beginning, I was, designed my own website, did my own kind of branding. Even now I do both of them when I get the chance to kind of tweak things up and stuff. Marketing, sales, I have the sales background anyway. I train professionals in sales, so alhamdulillah, I'm good in that. There was always much to learn, though. Things are changing, things are evolving. So just because you were good at one point doesn't mean you're always going to be good. We have other I bring in other consultants now to help me do some of the assessments that I do for some of my clients, because I haven't got the capacity to do it all myself. So the problem here is some business owners feel like they have to do everything. It's the difference between working in your business and working on your business. Some people like to work in their business and not on their business, and some people like to work on their business, but they don't service the needs of the clients properly, so they're not really working in the business properly. And a classic example is somebody who's newly starting up. They might get new clients and they'll treat them like royalty. But as soon as they've got the clients and they've got other new clients, you're not given that same attention anymore, and then you end up giving really bad customer service.
Yeah.
So you have to understand there are different. When you're the business owner, you're everything. You are the boss. You are the slave. You are the cleaner. You are the the finance.
Yeah, you
guy.
are the business.
You are the business.
I think when you get to that point, I'm okay with both things. You know what? Like you said, horses for courses, right? If you want to be the business, I think we've probably had this conversation on a number of times where you, for example, in your consultancy, you are the business, you're the face, you're the go-to guy, you're everything. And I lose track of how many times I've said to you, Majid, just sit back in it, get consultants, outsource, take the cream off the top, like whatever. But obviously, look, whether you want to continue to grow your business and take it further, whether you're that ambitious, and you want to sit back, there'll be a time where you have to you'll have to outsource work, which means that month you make less than you did the previous month.
This month is a classic example for me. This month is one of those months where I've outsourced 14 assessments across the country to one of my go-to risk assessment guys for fire risk assessments, because I'm not going to be able to spread myself that thinly. And so
there's nothing thin about you, bro. Come on.
This is what I was saying. I'm spreading myself thinly without actually getting thinner myself. You know what I mean? So you know what? I'm not even gonna object to that comment because it's so true. But it's true.
There's two things to look at here. Yeah, is you could have lesser turnover but more in your pocket, or increase the turnover, but because you're outsourcing and you sort of increasing that sort of streamline and everything, and you're more what's the word? You're more it's completely blanked me now. But the thing is, if you outsource the work, your turnover is more, but your take home is less. But you've got more clients, you've got more sales, your numbers look better, you look busier, and that's given you the platform to then grow and take you up to the next level. Now, a lot of people choose not to do that.
Yeah.
I know people who have been in business for 25, 30, even 35 years who just refuse to have a day off. They turn up to work religiously every single day as an employee would. So half
there's
of
a
them
fear. There's a fear factor for them as well, that if I took the time off, or a day off, if I did something or declined some work from a client, will I lose the business and that kind of thing. On that point, people who are self-employed, they do tend, it's like you were saying, the clocking off. Or is there a clocking off? Can you clock off on a Friday night? Can you clock off for the weekend and say, look, that's it now, nothing for the weekend? I still get calls over the weekends and I don't answer them anymore because, I feel that's my time now. I didn't used to at the beginning stages. I had to take those calls because when you're starting a new business, you do everything you can to retain the clients. But when you've grown somewhat, you can actually make some decisions which work to your benefit and have a balance for yourself. So I think one of the most important things that I would say to anybody who's starting a new business is, you know what, if the time comes where you need help, ask for help. Even if it's somebody who's in the same industry who can help you out, ask for their help and give yourself a break. Celebrate the small wins. So a lot of people are working like animals and they just don't reward themselves for the hard work or any of the results that they bring in. They just want to see the numbers grow in their bank accounts, but they don't even pay themselves anymore. And the money's just sitting there. They just want to see it grow, but they don't even reward themselves, And if you're not going to reward yourself, then you're not going to have the motivation to continue doing what you're doing and taking a break within that at the same time. And it can be so easily done, especially in my particular field. I mean, for example, this weekend I've got to go down to the southwest Wales on the coast for a client. And I thought to myself, nice, you know what? I'll take the family with me or something. We can have a nice break over it. Unfortunately, as you know, all the hotels are booked up, so I had to book a B&B for myself. But I'm going to go a day earlier. I'm going to have some me time. I'm going to enjoy my time with myself, on the beach. I'll just chill out and I'll do my thing and relax, take a break, and it's okay. You can do that, and it's better that you do that than not doing that. Because when you don't do that, you're burning yourself out. And how many people have we seen, especially within the last year and a half, relatively young, who have just passed away suddenly, or through the coronavirus, or wherever the case might be? Life is never guaranteed. You need to have a good balance, and money's not everything. In fact, only yesterday I was talking to someone, and this is an old friend of mine who went to school with me, and we both happened to have read a post quite similar to each other. And the post went like this: imagine 100 years, just 100 years. It's not a long time in the grand scheme of things. In 100 years, you're likely to be dead. Your children are likely to be dead. And the house that you live in will belong to somebody else. Somebody else will probably live there that you never even met. Imagine that. Now, if you put everything in context, perspective is everything. So when you're working, and you're not taking a break, first of all, for yourself. When I say for yourself, I mean for the things that are important to you, whether that's family, your obligations, duties, religious, whatever it might be, they help keep the balance in your life, as opposed to working all the time. Because when you're working all the time, what kind of life are you living? Really?
I'll tell you who's the best and probably the worst example of the whole work. Taxi drivers. Look, I've been a taxi driver, in fact, I've had 2 or 3 stints as a taxi driver, throughout my adult life. The first time wasn't even adult life. I think I was still a kid when I was about 17. That was a long story, man. But yeah, look, if you ask a taxi driver, when they want to gas it up a little bit, they'll be like, I'm self-employed. I work for myself. I choose my hours. I choose my holidays and all of that. I guess that's true to a point.
In theory, it's true. In theory, it's true.
But I know, Papa knows that he has to put in 60, 70 hours a week. And he does. And he won't have a weekend off. He won't take a Saturday night off. He won't do this. He won't do that. He'll skip meals. He'll eat out. He'll be on energy drinks. He'll be whatever. But then he makes a half-decent wage packet at the end of the week.
Here's a question to you and the audience, actually. Help me out here. I'm seriously, because whenever I meet taxi drivers, and I'm not bashing all taxi drivers here, we have some good brothers, mashallah, doing a lot of good work for the community and, for the family and within their professions, lobbying against the local councils and all that kind of stuff. Now, when it comes to taxi drivers, here's what I don't get. A lot of taxi drivers, whenever they speak to you, they say times are tough. There's not much money in it anymore. I don't know whether they're saying that just because they don't want somebody else to enter the trade and become competition for them, or whether there's any other reason behind it. Well, you've been a taxi driver. I need to know this, right? And if anybody's listening, drop us a like, drop us a comment, tell us what the reality is. I've seen taxi drivers who have barely been in this country for 10 years, and they've got £250,000, £500,000 houses. And they go abroad on holidays regularly with their relatively large families. I'm not just talking of one taxi driver, but I'm talking about multiple number of them. They've got a mansion being built back home. Yet they're still on benefits here. How does that work? Does ethics surely not come into business for people? this is because we've got to, when talking about business, we've got to talk about business ethics as well. I get asked if I would charge any less if I'm paid cash. And I don't, because everything goes into my account. And surprisingly, a lot of the Haji Saabs ask me to do that, which is quite funny. But
see that
tell me,
again,
how does that work? How does that work with taxi drivers, Ali? Tell me, do I need to change my profession? Is it that easy to build a £250,000 house and mansion back home and go on holidays regularly with your families? Tell me, what am I missing?
Show me one taxi driver who's made it look easy, who's had a life, who's got good health, who spends time with their family, who doesn't work weekends. Like you say, obviously, look, you're in the consultancy business, right? And you don't answer your phone on the weekends, or in the evenings, or at prayer times, or kid time, or whatever else. Now, a taxi driver, I'll be honest, and it may vary from city to city and whatever else, but on average, bro, it's maybe £8-9 an hour. So in order to make something, they are working 60, 70, I've known taxi drivers to work 100 plus hours a week, but 80 hours a week.
Wow.
Now, 80 hours at £9 an hour is not a bad wage. You're clearing 700 quid there. But that's
per hour.
No, 700 quid is net. And then obviously
it can't be net. It's gross then, isn't it? Net is after you've paid your expenses.
No. So obviously what the meter shows is a lot more than that. I'm talking about their take home after everything averages to be about £8-9 an hour. Now, if you were to do 80 hours, say, take your example, if you were to do 80 hours of consultancy work a week, ka-ching, right?
Yeah.
If you were to work in a warehouse for 80, 90 hours a week, if you were to pretty much do almost anything
for 80,
and that
90
much
hours,
of it, and be a bit of a penny pincher, and well, you're always at work. When are you going to spend it?
Well, so look, it depends on who's spending it for you, isn't it?
the point that you mentioned, I think it's split into two. So ethically and morally, it's split into two. One is if you can do something for cash and get it a little bit cheaper. Okay, I get that. Is it right or wrong? I have different views on that. But secondly, if you have to lie about whether you're able to provide for you and your family, and then you have to take handouts, or you have to, get that bowl out to the Queen or whoever it is, those two things are not on the same level, in my opinion. So, let's say you don't give and you don't take. I think that's partly middle ground, gray area. But if you have to be to dishonest to the point that, the Queen or Boris is paying for your koti back home, do you know what I mean? It's different, isn't it?
It's not. When you're thinking about it from a Shari perspective, it's not. Obviously, different people have different values, and they'll go by what values they're on. But ultimately, when we're looking at businesses and people who class themselves as business owners, because here's the other side of the coin. You could be self-employed but working for a company. I've done that in the past. In all my working life, I probably spent around 6 months in total on a proper wage salary, around that much. Otherwise, I've always been self-employed. All my income has been based without any basic salary. It's been on commission only, because of the sales past and stuff like that. So you have people who, in those positions, will still be classed as self-employed, and their income will be dependent on their results and the sales that they're bringing, or the results that they're bringing for that particular business. Yeah. So you have that side of things as well. And then you have, the people who have got the bricks and mortar business, their investments, that they might be even working somewhere in an employed capacity and then using their income to invest in bricks and mortar, properties and stuff, or rent property to rent it out, rent to rent, and, make lots of conversions in that regard. So there are lots of different ideas out there. I think it wouldn't be there wouldn't be any justice done if we were to try and cover every particular angle when it comes to business. But I think overall there are some things which we need to be conscious of. I mean, for example, a lot of businesses feel that they need to be on social media. Some businesses don't. Um, you know, if you're working for a company, you may be self-employed, but if you're working for a company, it's that company that needs to be on social media, unless you're bringing some sales and stuff in for them. But social media is a funny one. Doing business over the internet is a funny one. You have platforms like Amazon and eBay and these kind of platforms which can help sell your products without you actively doing any marketing. It's a ready built platform where people are being given the exposure in the first place. Yeah. And that's for that could be for anything. You could be selling services on there. You could be selling ebooks on there. It doesn't, once you've written something, it's there. Do you know what I mean? You can have a recurring income from just selling some knowledge on there. You could be selling products that you've bought cheap from somewhere else. And that's a different kind of a platform. But then you've got service-based industries, and then you've got retail-based industries, which function in a completely different way. You've got overheads, at least, for the retail-based industries. I mean, your industry, you're in an industry where you've got to pay the rents, the rates, and staff, and all that kind of thing. It's in fact multiple number of times nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah, and to be fair, I can maybe advise better on the industry that I'm in or that I'm aware of. So, if you're in retail. Let's say, for example, like me in the food sector, social media is an absolute must nowadays. If you're not on social media, you almost don't exist. But you know how you speak of Amazon and eBay and all of these guys? I'm not particularly in favor of them, and I'll tell you why. Is that it's resting on your laurels in a way which you may deem convenient, but it's actually very expensive. I am.
It is.
Obviously, look,
Ali, hey, let me stop you for a second. It is expensive, but for some people, it's a great start. I'll give you an example. I own my 13-year-old Isa. So he got a few things from his cousins. iPhone cases, iPod Pro cases for your headphones, like Nike ones, clear ones that you put your. He's been selling them on eBay for himself. He thinks he's a little businessman now. Do you know what I mean? It's like he's getting them and selling on that. But for him, obviously, I won't encourage him to go into full-time business whilst he's supposed to be studying, but at school, and that's in the secondary school. Sorry, 13-year-old.
Why not?
Look, I can't take him out of school, can I? Exactly. So yeah, he can do whatever he wants whilst he's off school, within reason, obviously. But what I'm saying is, there are great platforms for beginners, and until you've got the revenue to create your own independent platform, then you can use the internet to market that platform. Now, here's the other thing when it comes to social media. A lot of people think, they have the question in the mind is, do I go with social media marketing, or do I pay for Google pay-per-clicks? Yeah. Now, there's a clear distinction in my mind for the use of either. And a lot of people don't quite understand the use of these platforms. So, for example, people often talk about sales and marketing. In my books, marketing comes before sales. You market and then you close the sale. When you're looking at, when you've got something that you want to raise awareness about, and you want to create desire in your products, then sure, you have to get your marketing strategy on point. So you can go out there, you can advertise on Facebook marketing and sales and stuff, and and on that platform, Facebook can promote your services, can promote your ideas within the areas or within that criteria that you've set, and hope that somebody might buy. Yeah. Now, Facebook is clever because they've got the algorithms to determine who of what age, what interests, what previous searches is likely to be interested in this particular product or idea, for them to push the advert in front of. But Google pay-per-click is something completely different. There, you have people searching for something who already know what they want or what they're looking for, have an interest in something, and they're searching for that product or service. And then Google pushes the providers or suppliers in front of them. So the desire is already there, and Google is likely to, depending on how much you're bidding for a click, put your idea in front of them, and then they can decide whether they want to buy or not. So it's quite the opposite. On Facebook, you're trying to create desire, or what's the other word? There's another word for it, isn't there? But you're trying to create a market to buy your stuff.
Look, before you do any of that, the first thing that you should do, regardless of what you're selling, you need to have your own platform. And that, in most cases, is your own website. And it can be as simple as you like. It can be 5 pages. It can 3 pages. It can just be a landing page and nothing else. Yeah.
In your mind, what does a website serve? What's the purpose of having a website?
Look, it's going to differ for everyone, but what the website ultimately does is put control and power back in your own hand. I've seen big established businesses. Yeah. Look at McDonald's, look at KFC, look at Burger King, all of these guys. They themselves are directing customers to Just Eat or to Uber Eats or to Deliveroo. Now, anybody in the food sector knows their commission rates are ridiculous.
Extortionate, yeah.
Extortion. Now, as a company, it makes no sense for you to market, for you to advertise, and for you to direct your customers to somewhere that you're going to have to pay a commission on that same customer that's already yours.
Well, that depends. You see, if you look at some of the more successful businesses in contemporary times, they're businesses that don't even have many of their own assets or their own workforce. Yeah. eBay, you've got the buyers and the sellers on the same platform. Amazon's doing the same thing. They have some warehouses now. Obviously, they've got their own warehouses and all that kind of stuff. Uber, how many cars does Uber own out there on the roads? Do you know what I mean? In contemporary times, some of these businesses have been, they've come into fruition and they've kind of blossomed by not having their own staff and their own assets at risk.
For them, it's great. It's fantastic. But imagine, I don't know, imagine you own Majid's Magic Pizzas or whatever, yeah? Whatever I don't know what's your favorite food, man? Give me something, on.
Ice cream, it is.
Ice cream. Okay, yeah. So we've got a Magic ice cream shop. Yeah. Now you're telling your customers, click on Just Eat and order my ice cream. Now imagine Majid, the small business owner, sending his customers to Just Eat for them to make more of a margin on your product that you're doing all of the legwork for than you are.
So Just Eat. But Just Eat here's the thing though. Just Eat are providing a solution for that business who doesn't have that infrastructure or that thing set up. Yeah. Even the cost might be high, but it's a cost that they're willing to pay. You, on the other hand, Sweet Retreat Burton has their own platform, right? So you've got incentives. So anybody who wants to buy Sweet Retreat products, they go onto this SR Burton, is it?
Sweet
and
SR,
then, Sweet SR, and then put your order through there, and you even get a discount by doing it on your platform. Great, happy days. You've taken the initiative. You've reduced your costs in terms of not having to pay out to the likes of Uber Eats and Deliveroo and all them kind of people. But you've had that initiative, though. What I'm saying is, those people who here's what else you've done with that. You've marketed it. You've marketed that platform in front of your audience to say, hey guys, you've got your audience in front of you on social media and the pages that they've liked, your pages, the business pages, you've got your own following. Then you've put it out there. Say, look, if you want a discount, go through this platform.
This is the thing, though. So it all comes down to, look, your strategy has to be prioritized, or your chronological order has to be correct. If you're going to go out and put yourself on social media but then have nowhere for all those leads to go. If you ain't got a shop window that those people then are going to get sort of forwarded to, what's the point? You know, you're advertising your business only for someone else to do none of the legwork and come and take a big cut. So personally, I think you have to have a website in today's day and age. Depending on what you're selling, you might need an app as well. You know, you might need other things, call centers and all the rest of it. That's almost redundant now, but a website is an absolute must. Then get yourself on social media. At least have somewhere that's your own to be directing these people towards.
So what are we saying then? For a person or an individual before they start the business, what are the core things that they should be thinking about? They should be thinking about, obviously, you know, back in the day, I don't remember. Do you remember Business Link? It was an initiative led by the government, and they had an organization up and down the country where consultants, mentors used to mentor business owners. So I used to work for Business Link for a short while, and this is while I was still studying for my postgrad in risk management stuff. So as part of Business Link, we used to give advice, right? So we used to get together with people, startup businesses, you know, outreach work with them, help them put together a business plan, work out the survival budgets, you know, how much is the minimum they need to survive in the normal lives, how much they need to make, marketing strategies, the finance, you know, SWOT analysis and all those kinds of things. You know, the traditional things that business consultants do with any startup business or even existing businesses to help them grow. So being in business yourself now, Ali, practically, not just theory now, practically, what would you say your top 5 things are to be conscious of for any new business owner?
Now you're really sticking it to me, huh?
Businessman bane hue hain.
Yeah, look, you've got to have a brand that looks like a brand. Yeah, I know it sounds
branding. So you're saying branding is important, yeah?
Absolutely.
What is branding? What is branding? How are you defining branding?
It's what people see that makes them think of you or your business. So is it the logo? Is it the fonts? Is it the colors? You know, is it certain merchandise? Whatever it is, but
what about you? What about you?
Okay.
Personal branding.
Definitely, yeah.
A lot of people often overlook this. You are your brand. You are your biggest marketing tool. Not just a tool. You're a marketing.
Depends.
Well, you might be. You're just a tool as well. But
I've been called worse.
I know,
especially over the last few days.
Yeah. So you are your business's biggest marketing tool. Now, the thing is, when what we say, what we do, the way we behave, can often have an effect on who decides to do business with us.
Now that really is down to that individual as to, you know, what they're willing to sort of compromise, what they're willing to mute or censor, or, you know, how they conduct themselves. Now,
no. What you're willing to mute and whatnot, what you're willing to sacrifice, what your values are, yes, but does that affect people and if they want to do business with you or not? Also, yes. So
yeah, so it depends which is primary to you, isn't it?
Yeah,
but look,
agree.
Personal branding is a big thing for most small startup businesses, because for a while, what you have to understand is you are going to be your business. You know,
especially in the consultative market,
in most things.
In retail, you could hide away. You could have somebody else facing the business, or you could have the business itself, you know, its own business brand or the page. In consulting, you are the business more than the face of the business when it comes to a retail business. I know loads of retail. I know loads of retail businesses where, you know, the owner's never seen other people are fronting the business.
Did it start like that though? Like, look, I can go to almost any kebab shop and I'll know who's the boss man straight away.
Well, that's because you're always in kebab shops. But you know, if you go to you know, other kebab shops in other cities, that might not be the case.
Yeah. So I think when you set up, the two things interlink quite a lot. Your personal branding, the way you put yourself out there, will almost definitely have a bearing on, how your business is received. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You're fortunate in that sense. But for most small startups, it probably will. So, brand yourself in the right way, and then, another little tip. It will help you catapult a little bit. Is that do something that you're kind of known for, or something that your social circles allow for. Like, for example, I'm just a bit of a foodie, a bit of this, bit of that. Yeah. Now, if I wanted to do something completely out there, yeah, if I wanted to go into consultancy or something completely different, I got no chance because I got no contacts in that way. I'm not going to get that initial stepping stone. It's going to be quite difficult for me. And I've wasted.
It will mean starting from scratch, but it doesn't mean that you don't have a chance. I think you're wrong there.
But I've wasted all of my, contacts, my social circles, everything. And if you can pull out an idea out the bag, which helps you utilize those, that's great. You're off to a flyer, aren't you?
Yeah. But
so,
saying that, you're talking obviously about changing from one type of business to another business. So your take home kind of advice is branding, one, to be conscious of branding. What was the second one? To be known for something. To be known for something. Okay. Do you mean like what the value proposition is coming to you as opposed to anybody else? Value.
I don't even know what value proposition means, bro.
Yeah. What you're proposing as being the value of people coming to you as opposed to somebody else.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's got to be there. One thing we see quite a lot of in this day and age is it's not enough that people know you. If I'm charging a tenner for something and someone else down the road is charging a tenner for something, my friend is going to think, if you can't give it to me for a fiver, why don't I just go down the road to the other guy?
And you know what? There used to be a saying, it's not who you know, it's not what you know, but who you know. That's no longer the case. Nowadays, it's more about, it's not who you know, but who knows you. The more people who know you for something, especially a niche. If you look, I always say this whenever I'm asked to do a keynote speech. We are all created in unique ways. God's created us in so many unique ways. Even identical twins have their own differences, yet we're always hell-bent on imitating other people. Why? What's unique about you? What's the difference about you? You see, in some cases, you may not want to be different. I mean, Uncle Nazir, God bless him, he used to say, why reinvent the wheel when the wheel's already there? Just look at who's doing what, why they're doing it, how they're doing it, and, do the same. If it works, it works, But ultimately, it's your own unique attributes which are going to distinguish you from others, and there better be positive ones. If they're negative ones, obviously that's going to distinguish you in a negative way. But ultimately, it's going to be the unique attributes. Depending again, I'll caveat that by saying depending again on the type and nature of the business. When it comes to longevity in the business, then it's a lot to do with customer service. People don't, saying that when people sometimes don't remember what you said or what you did, but they remember how you made them feel. People remember how you made them feel, and it's the experience that the buy experiences more than the buy the products. Sometimes you can buy the same products in different shops or stores, but if one shop makes you feel that bit more special, you're going to likely to be going there.
Ever so slightly off topic, but seeing as you mentioned identical twins, what's your opinion on doppelgangers? Do you think everyone has a near identical person somewhere else in the world?
I don't know, man. I don't believe in myths, and I don't believe in old wives' tales. I have no idea. There's always been these saying. There's always someone who's almost identical to you in some part of the world somewhere. But yeah, I don't know. I
Says
don't know.
says the person that found their twin, like a recent
No,
networking
to be
event.
honest with you, anybody who could see,
Yeah,
who's
yeah, of
seen
course,
him,
of
you can
course.
see there's so many differences. Just he has the same style as me, in a similar mustache, beard, and dressing style, possibly. But
Look,
that's
I
about it.
feel like we've addressed obviously people that are already in business. And you know, we started off with what I would call is encouragement for people to perhaps try and set foot in self-employment or business. And I just want to, you know, I just want to reiterate that don't get to such a stage in life where, you know, opportunities have sort of passed you by and sailed by, and you're left wondering. You know, the only thing worse than failure is to be left wondering. I don't deem
Shoulda, woulda,
failure.
couldas. Yeah.
I don't deem failure as that bad of a thing. You know, is that just me? Is that weird?
No. I think those people, you can only taste the sweetness of success once you've tasted the bitterness of failure.
Yeah, you've got to dip in, haven't you? Otherwise, you're never
Yeah,
gonna know.
yeah. Well,
So
you have to fail your way to success.
yeah,
it's, that's what it comes down to, doesn't it?
yeah,
And
it's true.
failures, you're not learning anything if you're not failing. The only time you're not going to fail is if you're not tried.
This
If you're
is the
not
thing.
tried, that's it.
Success doesn't really teach you that much.
Success
Whereas,
teaches you how to fail and deal with failure, if
mm,
you depending on the level of success. But failure is one of those things that you're not going to be able to avoid if you want true success in
mm,
any realms of life.
mm.
Hmm.
I feel like it's worth mentioning also. Anybody who's thinking of going into business, and regardless of sort of how many friends and everything that you've got, social media friends, real life friends, whatever, don't take it to heart when you don't get the support that you thought you would.
I
You know,
actually expect that. Expect that.
yeah. You know,
Expect the lack of support rather than the support, because expectation is the enemy of happiness, isn't it? Is that what the saying is? Expectations are the enemy of something or another like that. So the less you expect, the better.
yeah, it's just, you know, it's one of those slightly bitter pills.
Mm.
But it's one of those things, you know what?
Unless you're opening a dessert parlor, in which case you'll always have me a customer for life, especially if it's local to me. As Ali knows that better than anyone else.
Alhamdulillah.
So yeah, if that's the case, then you've got me. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Go on.
I'm just, you know, I just wanted to sort of finish up, I suppose, but it's come to an hour already. Wow. Look,
I think from my side that there are a few things which people should consider. First of
mm,
all, there's nothing wrong with not being self-employed or having a business. If it's not for you, it's not for you. If you're in a
mm,
business which is dying, don't be stubborn, right? And
yeah.
if there's really no point in you're trying to breathe life into a dying business, and you know what? Don't be stubborn. Let it go, Louis. Right? There's
Mm,
no shame in that either. You
mm,
tried. At least you tried. As long as you tried properly and you got the right advice from the right people, and you did all the right things as you could do, then that's fine.
mm,
Some of us have changed businesses over time, and it doesn't mean that that was meant to be the be all and the end all. No, there are many
yeah.
more opportunities and many lessons to be learned from that. I would say, new business owners, think about value. What's your value proposition for your potential customers or clients? This is very, very important. What's your niche? What are you
Mm,
known for? When somebody thinks of you, what do they think? When somebody thinks of, for example, desserts around Burton, Ali is probably one of the names that comes up for his business street retreat. Somebody thinks of health and safety within my circles, my name crops up, alhamdulillah. And you need to be known for something. What's your
mm,
niche? What are you recognized for? Have a power team behind you or around you, people who are possibly going through the same experiences, or people who could help you, or people
mm,
who you can bounce off. Whether they're in your industry or not, it doesn't make any difference. You need to have some people around you who are always egging each other on.
mm,
Ask for help when it's needed. Don't be shy about it. Don't be the hero and think, oh, because I'm business now, I've got my briefcase and I've got, a business card. I shouldn't be asking for help. No, the best people ask for help. The people who really want to get ahead, they ask for help, and they ask for the help from the right people. That's the other caveat, not from the wrong people. Don't ask your grandma for help about taxes and stuff, right? Unless she's obviously an accountant, but but you get my gist, right? And on the final point, understand what you're going in for. Invest in yourself, your own knowledge, your own expertise, your own skills, upskilling yourself all the time. Never feel that you've got enough knowledge or experience or expertise to run, to kind of keep a business growing. Because the only one thing which is constant is change. Things are always changing, and that's constant. So constant change needs constant evolution and change to deal with. And on that note, I know we don't have enough time to go through some of the other points that we probably wanted to discuss, but we get sidetracked by all these desserts and doppelgangers.
No, there's no reason why we can't do a part 2. It's actually, business, discussing business ins and outs. It's not anything you're going to be able to sum up in 60 minutes, but
of course,
my own
maybe
sort of tips.
Maybe we should do a part 2. Talk about some of these things in a bit more detail.
I think we should. Look to hit the ground running. If you're unveiling a business to the world, try not to do it until you've got some kind of foundation. Now, whether that's a website, whether that's something as simple as a business card, a bit of social media presence, don't let the word get out there before you're out there. So I think that's very important. Sell what sells. I could have my most favoritist cake in the world.
Favoritist? Wow.
Yeah, we're going Rugrats on this one. Yeah, it could be my most bestest, favoritist,
bestest
cake in the world.
Bestest friends. Best favoritist cake with the bestest friends.
Yeah, but nobody else likes it. Now, I'm not going to take it to heart and keep trying to push that same cake.
Yeah.
And this has happened to me. I've had to switch up the menu and sell things that I don't particularly like, but they sell. So I just make the best version of it, the best quality.
Sell what sells.
Sell what sells.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forget what my third point was. We can maybe address it in part 2 if we ever get around to it.
Okie dokie. On that note, thank you for joining us. Don't forget, we have a YouTube channel. We're on Instagram, Twitter, and all that good stuff. Facebook. We have a group in Facebook as well where we can share exclusive context. And just to remind you, this episode was sponsored by Shakur Investments, specializing in hands-off investments and guaranteeing returns. Oh, I don't know. What was it? Guaranteed? Fixed returns, I think. Yeah, fixed returns. And your money back within 12 to 24 months. For more information, you can contact them. As always, appreciate your support and your comments. Keep them coming in. And until the next one.